We all slip at some point. What's the big deal? Tripping never really hurt anyone, did it? I work in an office. This doesn't apply to me. Sound familiar? Unfortunately, slips, trips, and falls are a major cause of injuries, both at work and at home. It could be out in the plant, on the shop floor, out in the field, in the office, or on the front stairs of your home. Some injuries are minor, but others involve broken bones, serious back injuries, head trauma, or death. Even a fall from a short distance can be fatal. The good news is that preventing slips, trips, and falls is not complicated. It takes a combination of being aware of your surroundings, practicing good housekeeping, and using equipment properly. Let's take a look at slips, trips, and falls in detail and how each can be prevented. Slips occur when there is too little friction or traction between your feet and the surface you're walking on. The common causes of slips are wet surfaces, spills, worn shoe soles, and weather hazards. Walking surfaces can become wet for many reasons, including spilled beverages, rain, cleaning agents, or normal working operations. You can decrease your risk of slipping on wet surfaces by slowing your pace and paying attention to where you're going. If you see an area of flooring that is wet, try to take a detour around it. In the plant or out in the parking lot, standing water may be covering up a missing drain cover or grate. It might take a few extra seconds, but try to take a detour around it. You could be avoiding a serious injury. If you must walk across a wet surface, shorten your stride to keep your center of balance under you. Walk with your feet pointed slightly outward and make wide turns at corners. Wearing slip-resistant footwear will also reduce your risk of slipping on wet surfaces. This type of footwear usually has soft rubber soles and heels with rubber cleats that increase traction. If you work or pass through areas where floors are always wet, proper drainage should be maintained. False floors, grating, mats, raised platforms, or non-skid strips should be used when possible. In areas where flooring is regularly wet or slippery, such as shower areas, use non-skid waxes, non-skid strips, or gritty floor coatings to help create non-slip surfaces. In places where the flooring changes from wet to dry, use doormats to create a slip-free transition area. The best solution is to get rid of what causes the wet floor in the first place. If you can't remove the cause, try to reduce the length of time the floor remains wet. For walking surfaces that are temporarily wet, dry them when possible or post warnings. For instance, after mopping a floor, make sure passers-by are aware that the surface is wet. Another tip when mopping a room is to clean one side of the room at a time so that people walking through the room will have a dry area to walk on. Spills are another common cause of slips. However, good housekeeping can prevent injuries. Scan your work area for spills. Clean all spills immediately, even if you did not cause them. This assures that the next person to walk by does not slip and injure him or herself. If the liquid is greasy, make sure you use a suitable absorbent or cleaning agent. After cleaning, dry the floor if possible, or use signs or barriers to warn people of the wet surface. If you are not able to clean the spill, draw attention to the area so that others will see it. Then report the problem to the appropriate person. Another housekeeping tip to avoid a slip injury is to make sure your working areas and walkways are well lit. Seeing a spill is the first step to avoid it. Also, if machinery constantly leaks, use a drip pan to collect the fluid while waiting for the leak to be repaired. The weather is often unpredictable, but your reaction to weather hazards doesn't have to be. We've already talked about wet walking surfaces, but how about icy and snowy conditions? First, slow down. Wear slip-resistant shoes or shoe covers. Wear your all-weather footwear to work, then change into your work shoes once inside. Wearing sunglasses helps you see surfaces more clearly in icy or snowy conditions. In extreme weather, be especially careful when getting out of vehicles. Putting your full weight on an icy surface could cause a nasty fall. Hold on to the vehicle and exit slowly. Lighten your load when working in icy or snowy conditions, and make sure you can see the ground. Get help with heavy loads, or make more frequent trips with a lighter load. Other slip hazards include loose rugs, debris on the floor, irregular surfaces, and walking from one type of surface to another. Use rugs that have a skid-resistant backing or secure them to the floor. If this is not possible and the rug is solely for decoration, remove it before someone slips. Debris on the floor can range from dust particles to a pencil or even a piece of paper. Whenever possible, remove debris. Sweeping and regular scanning for hazards will help you avoid a slip. Irregular surfaces include loose gravel or shifting floor tiles. Report any flooring defects to your supervisor. Otherwise, slow down and pay attention to where you're walking. In some areas of your worksite, you may go from one type of surface to another. Be aware that the change in surfaces can cause a slip. For instance, be careful when walking from a surface such as carpet to a smooth surface like marble. Shorten the length of your steps when going from one surface to another until you feel stable on the new surface. Slip-resistant shoes will also help improve traction. A trip occurs when your foot strikes an object, causing you to lose your balance and fall. The common causes of trips include clutter, uncovered cables, wrinkled carpet or rugs, uneven walking surfaces, a hole or stump in the ground, an obstructed view, and poor lighting. Good housekeeping will prevent many trips. Keep the floors and walkways in your work area free of clutter. A purse left on the floor can easily become a trip hazard, just as a tool left lying around can. Scan your work area and remove any obstacles. In some workplaces, walkways are clearly marked. These areas should never be obstructed by objects. Whenever possible, route cables and electrical cords so they don't cross walkways. Cover any cables or cords that must cross walkways with cable covers. If temporary, you can secure the cord with heavy-duty tape. Consider using cordless tools when available. Since wrinkles or curled edges create a trip hazard, secure mats, rugs, and carpets by tacking or taping them down. Some carpets may need to be relayed or stretched to get rid of bunches and wrinkles. Uneven walking surfaces are another trip hazard. Report uneven or defective flooring and stair treads. Pay attention when entering or exiting elevators. The flooring may not match up and you could trip. This is a frequent problem with heavy-duty freight elevators. Sidewalks can also be uneven from one section to the next, so watch out. Working in the field has its own hazards too. Soft soils, sand, holes, stumps, logs, and rocks are just some of the hazards you face out here. Be sure of your footing when walking through areas with these hazards. When your view is obstructed, you can easily trip over an object in your path. Simple actions like tying back long hair, carrying smaller loads, or using an aid like a cart or dolly with wheels will help prevent injuries. Poor lighting is sometimes a factor in trip incidents. Always use the available light source. If you must enter an unlit area, use a flashlight and walk slowly. Replace burned-out light bulbs and have faulty switches repaired. Walking from a bright area to a dark area can cause temporary vision problems. Give your eyes time to adjust before moving on. Also, avoid wearing sunglasses in low-light areas. A few trip hazards people don't think about include taking shortcuts and not closing cabinet drawers. Taking a shortcut across a lawn or through rocks means you may walk across uneven surfaces. A shortcut behind equipment could end up with you tripping over cords. Stay on flat, established walkways as much as possible. Closing the bottom drawer of a tool cart or file cabinet could prevent an unnecessary incident. Another trip hazard is boxes or equipment left by a corner. Corners are blind spots. Unless there is a safety mirror, you won't see what's around the other side and could trip if something was left in the walkway. Falls from heights can cause very serious injuries or death. Let's take a look at some of the most common causes of falls. Does this look familiar? We may not want to admit this, but many of us have used improper equipment as a creative ladder. But this practice is dangerous. One fall is all it takes to end up with a serious injury. Take the time to get the proper equipment for the task. Used properly, a ladder is a great tool for reaching heights. Use it improperly, and you greatly increase your risk of injury. First, make sure you have the right ladder for the job. The ladder you choose should be long enough so that your waist is no higher than the top rung. This means that the top 2 rungs of a stepladder or the top 3 rungs of an extension ladder should not be used for your feet. The bottoms of the side rails should have slip-resistant pads, especially if you'll be working on hard surfaces. Inspect the ladder before you use it. Look for cracks and loose or broken rungs. Both rungs and side rails should be kept free of oil, grease, and mud, and should be dried before use if they are wet. Never paint or tape over any part of a ladder. This could hide a dangerous crack or other defect. Wearing appropriate shoes with a little heel will help prevent a fall from a ladder. Make sure you place your foot solidly on each rung. Stepping on a ladder with only the front part of the toe could cause your foot to slip. Always face the ladder when climbing up or down. When using a ladder, make sure it is locked into position and stable. Have both hands free to climb. If you need tools for your task, carry small ones in a tool belt, or better yet, raise tools with a rope. Always have 3-point contact when climbing. This means that 3 of your 4 limbs are on the ladder at all times. This can be 1 hand and 2 feet, or 2 hands and 1 foot. Using an extension ladder requires some extra safety precautions. The base of the ladder should be firmly on the ground and level. Both side rails on the resting edge of the ladder should touch the building or surface it is against. Properly tying off the top of the ladder or having someone hold the base can keep the ladder in place. When setting an extension ladder, use the 4-to-1 rule. This means you would set the base of the ladder 1 foot out from the wall for every 4 feet of ladder height. For example, if a ladder is leaning against a building that is 20 feet tall, the base of the ladder should be 5 feet back from the wall. Whenever accessing a roof, the ladder should be extended 3 feet beyond where it touches the structure. When working on a ladder, make sure you don't attempt to reach too far to the left or right. Your belt buckle should never extend beyond either side of the rails. Before beginning work, make sure the area around the base of the ladder is clear of clutter. If there are hoses or cords on the ground nearby, make sure they can't contact the ladder, causing it or you to fall. Also be aware of obstacles near the ladder that can't be moved, such as a curb. Every year, many people are injured by falls on stairways. Here's how you can stay safe. Make sure you have 1 hand free in order to hold the handrail. Take each step 1 at a time, making sure your lead foot is firmly planted before putting your weight on it. Stairwells should be kept well lighted and kept free of clutter, grease, and oil. Avoid carrying large items that block your vision or heavy items that require use of both hands. Instead, carry smaller loads and take more trips, or get help with the load. Falls can happen in other work areas too. When getting out of a truck, step down backwards. Never jump down. When working on a loading dock, watch where you're walking at all times. Be careful not to trip over the dock plate and be sure not to take backward steps that send you over the edge of the dock. Portable railings can be used to block the edge of the dock when not in use and removed when a truck is at the dock. Always use the stairs at the dock. Do not jump down. Ramps are another area of concern. When ascending or descending a ramp, use the handrail. Another common fall hazard is an unguarded opening in the floor. Employees working near openings more than 6 feet above the next level should be protected from falling into the opening by a personal fall arrest system, cover, or guardrail system. Cover should be able to support twice the weight of the employees, equipment, and any other materials that may be placed on the cover. The cover should be secured to prevent accidental movement and marked hole or cover. Lastly, employees should be protected from anything falling through the opening. Preventing slips, trips, and falls is not difficult to do. You just have to want to do it. One of the best methods for preventing slips, trips, and falls is good housekeeping. Keep all areas free of clutter and spills. This takes teamwork from everyone at your worksite. Next, always be on alert. Scan your work area, watch where you walk, and remove any obstacles. Where hazards cannot be removed, use safety signs to alert people of the hazard, but change the signs frequently so that you and your coworkers don't become blind to them. Use stairways and ladders properly. Lastly, work with your employer to identify areas at your worksite that are slip, trip, and fall hazards, and then correct them. Working together, you can create everyone.